Hello, good morning. Yeah, it's amazing to be here. I'm totally overwhelmed by the amazing room, the space. This is a dream for me because it's a perfect acoustic room. Sometimes I do talks, it's terrible, the acoustics are terrible. This is amazing, and so thanks to Link & Co for that, and thanks to Anna, Wiebke, and Jürgen for inviting me to speak at Creative Mornings, and it's a large crowd, so maybe I have to entertain you a bit for 20 minutes. Let's see what I can do. I have to turn this around so I know what my next slide is all the time. I have no idea. Let's see this. Hold on. Maybe I can see a little bit of what's happening next. Okay, not too much about me and what I do, but just so you have a little bit of an idea, I work at an agency called Why Do Birds? We've been around for about 13 years now. We have 30 employees. We're located in Kreuzberg, and we're mainly, or the top thing that we do is audio branding, but we have a lot of communication designers working for us, people who are interested in audio as well, but there's a lot of visual background and service designers. And so we try to think audio not as a sound studio, just creating great music pieces, because a lot of people can create great music. But so our approach is usually we think about more of a strategic way. How can we do storytelling in sound? How can we create something for brands which makes it meaningful? This is our studio. We do all our music production in-house, so we don't need any external musicians. We have great studios. And if you ever in Kreuzberg, in the Kreuzbergstraße, by the way, feel free to come by. There's always room for coffee. We're working in a bit of a niche, which means there's not like 500,000 agencies that do audio branding like you would have in advertising. So we're lucky that we work globally. We counted the countries shortly. We have clients in 17 countries, which is pretty amazing for a small agency in Berlin. Okay, so let's get this started, and I'm going to play a sound to you. Let's see if the volume is on here. And this is also the sound check a little bit. And let's see if you can recognize this. I guess you do, most of you. Anybody who's not subscribed to this channel. This obviously is Netflix. But why are you smiling? Why do you know that this was Netflix? And what does it do? I stole a visual off the internet this week. Anybody know what I'm hinting at? This is the Pavlov conditioning experiment. This is why we recognize sounds. I mean, no, Pavlov didn't invent that, but he came up with a theory why it's working, or he found out what the connection is. What he did is he had a dog, and every time he put the bowl with the food in front of him, he started to drool. The dog knew, its lunch is coming, it's great. And then he rang a bell, nothing happened. And then next thing he did is every time he brought the food, he rang the bell. And it didn't take too long. After a couple of times of doing that, the dog was conditioned. And when the ding-dong bell started, the drool started because he thought, okay, bell means lunch. And in this case, when you heard Netflix means, hey, it's entertainment time. And let's sit down on the couch and enjoy, I don't know, some binge watching. And since it's so much fun, I'm going to play you another sound, and I'll have you guess what it is and see if you can recognize that. It's an old sound. Jürgen and I will know it. Let's see if anybody else can get this from 1 second. That's James Bond. Wow, that's not so bad. So obviously the original, 61 years old today. And it's the nice thing is, I mean, if James Bond had a sound logo, it would have been doodly, doodly, doodly. That would be the main motive. But there's so many melody bits in there, and so much, so rich, the original composition, that they've been able to use it for about 25 movies over 60 years. And always rearranged it, and every artist came up with their own idea of integrating these little James Bond bits, and we always recognize that, and it's great that that's possible. And the thing is, when you hear that, it's not just, oh yeah, that's the James Bond theme. It's 1962, John Barry composed it, but it's what it should do with you. It should put you or transport you into the situation. So, oh, this means, just like for Netflix, this means fun, this means entertainment, this means popcorn, and having a good time for 2 hours. I have another sound, a modern one. Jürgen and I won't know this one. Let's have a listen. Let's see if anybody. It's already old. It's, I think, 3 years old.
Billie Eilish.
Not bad, and that's also. I mean, all we had is like a bass drum in one bass note, boom, boom, and yeah, it's you get conditioned really quickly with famous songs, and it's amazing how that works. And I don't know if the Rolling Stones come on tour again, they put out a new album. If they would have put out something on a radio commercial that they're going on tour, they always would bam bam ba-da-dum, the Satisfaction intro, and that would be their sound logo. So that would work. You only need a second to show what you're doing there. Okay.
I'm the bad guy.
Oh yeah, that's the bad guy. So it works in different ways. So when you hear a sound, you can have pictures in your head. That's the idea. And so the nice thing is, if you see a picture, you can also have a sound in your head, and without hearing anything, I think you would all know what that sounds like. And if you close your eyes and you can imagine the sound to that, and I don't have to play that, but it's that will be what you would be hearing in your head. And it's also got a soothing effect, if you want. So there's a lot that sound can do in that respect. Speaking of water, this is also a picture where you can have a sound in your head and get a feeling of wow, especially when it's November out here, it's cold. It's maybe something a place you would want to go to. And now sound has the power to do something with a visual like that. And if I play something like this, you wouldn't want these kids to go in the water, probably. So it's a little mean because, sound has the possibility to tell a story here. And of course, I don't know who's seen the video, but it can get pretty nasty out there. Sound also has the possibility to change the whole context of a story, just like it did for the Jaws example there. Here's a video. It's a Lufthansa TV commercial they put out a long time ago, I think over 10 years ago. And but I liked how they played with sound, and it's about somebody who's coming to a very possibly stressful place in New York. He's arriving and taking a cab to go to New York from JFK Airport, and it's how he sees the world coming to New York, and this sound tells a bit of the story. Yeah, I think it's really nice how the visuals, they're identical for the two soundtracks, but they really work well with both soundtracks. One, it's up to you to decide if New York in November would be the most stressful place or the most beautiful place on Earth. And the soundtrack tells us what you're supposed to perceive it as. And so everybody has the different perception. It got a little bit distorted in the sound. I'll try to turn this down. I don't know. So that was Lufthansa. So we're getting the bridge to brands, and this is interesting for us because we work in audio branding. That means we try to find sounds that you can connect to a brand. This is a very famous picture. A lot of you have seen this one before. I think it's amazing because it shows you, wow, I'm totally overwhelmed going to the supermarket looking for my Mars chocolate bar or something. Where do I find that? And the only way to do so is because I've learned that, I don't know, the Mars bar is black and has a red typeface on it. So I can look for that. And if, well, I would look here, although this is a Rolo, which I can read, but that looks similar. Just imagine there would be no branding and everything would be white label with an Arial typeface. And it would say chocolate bar, and the ingredients, it would be impossible to get through that and you wouldn't know what to buy. So that's what branding is good for. And, and so these codes are so important to give brands something that you can hold on to, make them recognizable. This is old school. We all know this color, that this is telecom, magenta, and it's enough to tell you what it is. And this Coca-Cola wave, you recognize these are design elements, and you don't have to put the brand name on it, but you can still tell what it is. So brand codes make brands unique. And when we think about visual branding, it's more than just a logo, basically, what I've just shown you. You have to make sort of like think about all these different aspects and elements that you can consider when you're creating something visually. And a lot of people who come to us and say, oh, we want an audio branding, they say, can you create a sonic logo? We need those 2 seconds at the end of our videos. And we say, yes, we can, but we would like to do more. Oh, yeah, of course you would. Can we just start with a sound logo and then we'll talk about more later? But you know, when we think about a sound logo, just like here in the visual, if you think about a logo, say, well, I need to make decisions on a typeface. What do I want? Do I need a typeface? I need to make a decision on a color and these. And that shouldn't just be for the logo, because if you make those decisions, you have to live with them beyond just the logo in your, I don't know, in your design layouts. And the same happens in the sound. I mean, you can, obviously you can, but when you create a sound logo, there's stuff to make decisions for. You have to decide, do I want a melody in there? Or do I just, I don't know, is it just a voice or something like that? So that's a little bit of how we think a step further. And that makes a lot of sense to think beyond that, those 2 seconds, because there's so many touch points where sound plays a role. And it's not just the 2 seconds there. So I don't know, you may have even a telephone on hold line, you probably need a 5-minute piece of music, and or I don't know, there's stuff for all these touch points, and you want to be recognizable, but you don't just want to be identical the whole time. So we're thinking about flexible systems. Having said that, I'm not going to show you a big case because I only have 5 minutes left, I suppose. But I brought 4 sound logos along that we created at Why Do Birds. And I'll tell you quickly this bit of a story behind them. The Deutsche Bahn, I don't know if anybody's heard that. We created that a couple of years ago. The sound logo sounded like this. When we started, we did a bit of research and said, okay, what sounds are there already for the Deutsche Bahn that we might associate with that brand? And one thing we quickly stumbled upon was the gong that you hear at the train stations when the train comes in, ding dong, which we didn't find very pleasant in its sound. But when we looked at it closer, we found that the ding dong is actually the note sequence are the notes D and B. And we thought, oh, wow, amazing. That's branding. And but it didn't sound nice. So, but anyways, we thought, wouldn't it be nice if we could, you know, maybe there wasn't a coincidence. Let's take those notes and create the most beautiful gong you've ever heard, and like give them something nice for a gong and have that as their symbol. Maybe they won't be able to play it at the train stations, but maybe for other purposes, which we did. And everybody liked it in the brand department until we got to this CMO who listened to the ding dong, and he said, nah, that's not my Deutsche Bahn. No, we're not ding dong. He said, we're 300 kilometers in a tunnel. We're 300,000 employees. We're a large corporation, powerful, dynamic, and so on. So at the end of the day, what we did is play back. We still have the notes DB, DB, B, 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 B. So we put that into rhythm, because that's the topic of today's rhythm, and gave that the rhythm of a train running on the tracks and so on, and gave that size and that power with the bass. And the CMO heard that and said, oh, that's bold. Well, that's my barn. So so that was how that came about, because certain people have certain feelings towards certain things. But CMOs change; they leave the company, others come. So we had a chance to redesign it at the beginning of this year, and the new Deutsche Bahn sound logo. We kept the whole idea and the sequence and the notes and the rhythm, because that's been learned over the couple of last years. Now it sounds like this. We have just the DB, the two notes, ding dong, on the piano, and the rest is just like more like a heartbeat sound and not such a hard bass drum. Deutsche Bahn is trying to become a love brand. Siemens was a different story. Interesting thing was, there's a lot of stories on that sound in general, but I'll play the sound logo. One thing that's in there is you're hearing a female voice, which was very hard for them to accept, since 80% of their employees are male and are engineers. And they said, well, I'm not sure the engineers will like that. And and sort of like nerdy. But when they came to us, they said, we want to change our positioning on the market. We want to be more approachable, because Siemens, as an engineer company, was known to be very cold and very distanced from society. And what the engineers created products, threw them over to the marketing team and said, here, look what we did. It's amazing, sell it. And the CEO a couple of years ago said, that's not how we want to work anymore. If we have the best engineers in the world, why not look outside in the world, into society, look at real problems, and let's find solutions for that. And that shift of mind, of saying not inside out, but outside in, was what they tried to say or do, which was mirrored in the ingenuity for life. Nobody understands that, but it means the engineer's craft and the creativity for life, means for society. We're doing it for the people, not because we can. So we put a human voice in the sound to also highlight that. And when it was the woman, well, we said, well, it's obvious because it's sie, men's. Sie means she in German. It needs to be that. And the head of brand, he's an English guy. He said, no, clearly it says men's in there. So he had me there, and but we're still friends, and they accepted it. I don't know if anyone can see this behind this beautiful plant. There's an UFA logo, the UFA fiction, courtesy of Neville Brody. We worked together with them a couple of years ago, and they said, we want a sound for UFA logo, which we thought, wow, it's our 20th Century Fox moment. This is it. We're there. Until we realized that they don't have this as an opening sequence like MGM or 20th Century Fox. They put it at the end. That means you have to sit through the 5 minutes of titles, and then you hear our sound, unfortunately. We only had one idea that we presented, and Nico Hoffman, the CEO, bought into it. What we said, we wanted, nice thing is we have more than 2 seconds for a sound logo for a video, for a movie. So we had 8 or 9 seconds. We're trying to tell the story of a film in 8 seconds. And it's all about the mystery. It's all about not knowing what will be next. And it's about sitting down and being in awe and not really understanding until the end, until the reveal comes. And this is what we did in 8 seconds. And yeah, we also did the motion design, which tells this is the same, because you don't know what it is in the beginning until it comes to the reveal. The last one, the Lidl sound logo, I'm sure some of you have heard if you ever listen to the radio in the morning, because I can't escape it. It sounds like this.
Lidl lohnt sich.
Yeah, and the idea or the brief was to create more or less the most simple logo should stand for joy, it should stand for, it could also sound cheap, which we say, okay, let's make it sound cheap. So, yeah, joyful and easy to imitate. So that was that story. One last example that I have for brand sound is one that I just stumbled across. Was working was in a jury for awards, and an agency handed this one in. Any musicians here? Anybody who can read that? Can you hum that? Also, not bad. Anybody recognize it? It's McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. But I thought it was a nice thing to do. They put it in front of the Elbphilharmonie, and the idea was to catch people who wouldn't normally go to McDonald's and talk to getting new target groups to buy into the brand. And say, it's not so far, give it a go. And I thought it was a nice idea to put sound on a poster somewhere where you don't have sound, or you don't hear anything, but you're putting a sound into people's heads who can read those notes, and so bringing that together with a brand, I think that's an advanced way of putting audio branding into practice. All right, I have a 1-minute clip that I stumbled across. It's something, I think one of the first things that I did when I started the agency. We were only 3 people, and one of them was an apprentice, an intern, and we were having lunch one day. And I was telling him that I was in the supermarket around the corner, and there's a thing that you hear when you put your food across when it's being scanned. It's a blick, look, blick, blick, look. I never understood why it's one's blick and the other's blook, but I was trying to find that out a little. I never asked the people. I'm not sure if they would know, but I was trying to, okay, when is it high and when is it low? And I always had this melody in my head when the blick and the blooks. And I was telling that to the intern. He goes, oh, you too? I go, oh, so what's that melody? And we both had the same melody in our heads when we were at the supermarket. And so we turned that into a video. And I don't know if anybody will recognize that melody, because it's an old one. So who in this room will know that one? Sorry. Let's see if anybody knows the melody. Okay. Well, yeah, thank you very much. That was very